Hello everyone, I am so happy to see you again. This is going to be a day in the life vlog, and it's going to be a very busy day at that. We need to clean the oven racks, not the whole oven, just the racks, and we are going to harvest and preserve what I hope will be a year's supply of basil. We need to buy some houseplants from the music room window and make dinner. And we will see what else the day brings. But before we do anything, I need to have breakfast. I want some blueberries and yogurt, and the blueberries are out in the garden. Let's head outside. I have early, mid, and late season blueberry varieties in my garden. The shrubs have produced an abundance of fruit this summer. So I have rinsed my blueberries, and when we came in, we let a couple of flies into the house. So if you see them buzzing around, right there, they are not long for this world, okay? Here's yogurt. These are the organic raw sliced almonds that you and I bought together at Tierra Farm a couple of weeks ago. I just store them in the freezer. And blueberries. This is so fresh and wonderful, and the blueberries just burst when you bite into them. On to the next project. I have some water boiling, and we are going to remove the racks from the oven and clean them outside. These oven racks have not been cleaned for more than 1 year. To clean the burnt-on grease from oven racks, I first place the racks in a large container. We bought this underbed storage container at a generic dollar store. Next, I cover the racks with very hot water. Then I add a degreaser called Simple Green. Simple Green is an environmentally friendly degreaser. The product is biodegradable. Simple Green is a degreaser. You can buy it in any hardware store, or I can link it in the description below. I need to let the racks soak for a couple of hours. Since we're in the herb garden, we can go ahead and harvest some basil and start our basil preservation project. So this is the basil that you and I planted from seed late last winter, and then we grew the seedlings under lights. And I can say the basil has been performing phenomenally well. I like to cut the basil just above a set of leaves. This way, new growth will soon appear. So these leaves are basically clean. I don't want to wash them because I want the leaves to be dry when I process them. We've had a lot of rain, so that has kept the leaves clean. And I'm just going over each leaf looking at each side to make sure that it is something I want to use. And if any leaves look bad, I just put them in this other bowl, and then this will go to the compost. And I should probably mention that if you don't have basil in your garden, you can always find it at this time of the year at farmers markets and farm stands. And you want to do this job when you are not in a rush. This basil smells just beautiful. So these leaves are for preserving, and these stems and not so attractive leaves are for the compost. I'm going to preserve these leaves in two different ways. And the first way is basil salt. Really easy to do, super delicious. So I need a layer of salt in a jar. And I wish I had a wide mouth jar here, but I don't. I just have this regular mouth jar. And then I want a layer of basil leaves. Kitchen tweezers. More salt. The salt is going to draw out the perfume of the basil. Kitchen tweezers are such a brilliant invention. And I want to emphasize just how wonderful basil salt is. You can add it to pizza sauce or spaghetti sauce. You can add it to soups and stews. You just use the basil salt instead of whatever other salt you would normally use. And the leaves, of course, are preserved in the salt. And not only can you use the salt for flavoring, you can use the leaves themselves. So you do not have to remove the leaves. And this salt will keep in the pantry for a good 6 months. Let me clean up here, and then we're going to preserve the remaining leaves. Basil preservation method number 2. I'm going to chop up the leaves with just enough olive oil to coat them, and then I will store the basil puree in freezer bags in the freezer. So no nuts, no cheese, no garlic. I just want pure basil. This looks like a lot of leaves, but it's going to make a tiny amount of basil. Well, it's really basil pesto. So first, I'm going to pulse the machine just to cut up the leaves. Now I'm adding just enough extra virgin olive oil to coat the leaves. As I said, that big pile of leaves did turn into almost nothing. So I'm just going to add more leaves. There are no exact proportions in this recipe, which really isn't even a recipe. I had some leaves that stuck to the sides of the bowl, so I'm just scraping them down. Oh, smells glorious. I'm going to store this pesto in quart-size freezer bags. Now, I know some people like to freeze their pesto in ice cube trays, but I don't do that. I think this is just easier. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to label these bags. I'm going to do that in just a moment. And if you flatten out the pesto, this will store very easily in the freezer without taking up much space at all. So I'm only putting between a quarter cup and a half a cup of this pesto in each bag. Then I will flatten each bag. So this pesto will freeze very quickly. It will also thaw very quickly. And then to use it, you just break off a piece of the frozen basil and use it in whatever you're cooking that requires basil. Last one. And of course, my basil will continue to grow until the end of summer. Well, it will continue to grow until we have our first hard frost. So I will be able to harvest basil at least one more time. So if I did not achieve a year's supply of basil today, I will achieve it later in summer. So I'm going to pop these into the freezer, and then we're going to head to the berry farm. The berry farm has some beautiful houseplants there, and I want to buy some to put in the music room window garden.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on.
I'm looking for plants that are small enough to fit in the window garden and that offer colorful foliage in various shades of green. I can show you what I selected when we return home. So we are home again. Here are the plants that we bought. This is a prayer plant, or maranta. At night, the leaves close up like this, as if it were two hands in prayer. And I pulled out some terracotta pots because I don't want to repot these plants. I just want to hide their plastic pots. This asparagus fern fits nicely in this terracotta pot. And I have saucers somewhere. I'm going to look for them. And what do we have here? This is a Rex begonia, and the variety is called Zumba. He sort of fits in here. I had babysat my friend Victoria's houseplants when she and her husband were in France, and I put those, they were green houseplants. I put those in the music room window garden. And I really liked the look of them. She's home now, she picked up her plants, and I really missed having that greenery. Now we can bring these plants and their saucers into the music room. I think these houseplants will provide good company for the Boston ferns and the holiday cacti that already live in the window. And of course, I can always add more houseplants. Houseplants adore music. Let's get dinner started. Actually, before we start dinner, we need to check on the oven racks. The oven racks have soaked for about 2 hours now. Already, the burnt-on grease has loosened up. Now we can rinse off the racks and give them a once-over with a cloth. It's amazing how that grease dissolved in the simple green solution. And all the racks really need now is a little rubbing with a cloth. Years ago, someone told me to simply put oven racks in a garbage bag, add a cup of ammonia, close the bag, and leave the racks to sit overnight, and then all of the grease will come off. I tried it, it worked, but not only did the grease come off, the finish on my racks came off. Not for this oven, but for a previous oven. And then the racks wouldn't slide easily in and out of the oven. So I think this is a better way to clean the racks. If you would like to see how I clean the oven glass and the interior walls, be sure to watch my full oven cleaning episode. I can link that episode in the description below. All right, on to the pesto pasta. I'm using this rotini today, and I already have a big pot of water boiling behind me. I just need to salt the water. My friend Victoria brought me some rocket or arugula from her garden. Mercifully, she even washed it. So we're going to have some dressed rocket along with our pasta. This is some of the vinaigrette that you and I made together in a previous episode. This pasta was cooked just to the al dente stage for 7 minutes. So this is the preserved pesto that we put in the freezer. I wanted to show you, once it's frozen, you can just break off a piece like this. My pasta is hot, so this pesto will thaw very quickly. Give this a toss. Since there was no salt in the pesto, I'm going to add some now. Not too much, because I'm also going to add some Parmesan cheese, which is salty. Let's stir that in. See, even though this pesto was frozen, it still has that just plucked from the garden perfume. And here comes the cheese. Too much cheese. I think we can have a little picnic in the garden today. Dressed rocket, the pesto pasta, which has a beautiful green color. garnish the pasta with a little sprig of basil. And I think this rocket is crying out for some mozzarella pearls. Of course, we need some vino. This is a chilled Sauvignon Blanc. This pasta was so easy to make, and it is absolutely delicious. The only thing I would do to improve it would be to add a squirt of lemon juice. I must be the luckiest guy in the world because I get to hang out with you. Thank you for being here as we harvested some blueberries, and we cleaned the oven racks, and we harvested and preserved a lot of basil, and we bought the houseplants from the window garden. I have another idea for the lower level of that garden. I think I want to buy another fern so I can have 3 ferns on that lower shelf and then smaller houseplants on the shelves above. And of course, we made this very simple and very wonderful pasta dinner. If you'd like to see more recipes and more household projects, then I hope you will subscribe. And be sure to tap the little notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload a new video, which is usually twice each week. I can put a couple of my other videos at the end of this one that you can enjoy between now and my next upload. Until then, please treat yourself well, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, friends.